Hey there. Tonight, we're going back, way back, to a time when gold wasn't just currency, it was your passport to eternity. Picture this. You're standing in the frozen mountains of ancient Thrace around 400 BCE, and you've just discovered something the world forgot. A king, buried in pure gold, his face hidden behind a mask so perfect, so haunting, that you can't look away. But here's what they never taught you in school. These weren't just any kings. These were warriors who believed their brutality in life would echo through death itself. They buried themselves with their weapons still wet with blood. Their masks weren't memorials, they were warnings. And tonight, as you drift off, you're going to walk through their world. You'll feel the weight of bronze armor, smell the copper tang of battle, hear the screams that echoed through Balkan valleys. Welcome to our channel. Before we begin, drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there. Are you ready for sleep? Good. So dim the lights, get comfortable, and let me take you somewhere historians barely whisper about. You wake before dawn in your stone fortress, perched high in the Rhodope Mountains. The year is 420 BCE, and you are King Seuthes, ruler of the Odrysian Thracians. Your chamber is cold, always cold, despite the braziers burning bare fat through the night. The smell clings to everything: your furs, your hair, your skin. Your wife sleeps beside you, her breathing shallow, careful not to wake you before the servants do. But you're already awake. Kings don't sleep well when their borders bleed. Outside you hear the changing of the guards, the clank of bronze against bronze. Your fortress sits on the edge of the known world, where Greek traders come to barter for your gold and your grain, and where northern tribes come to take both by force. You swing your legs off the bed, your feet touching cold stone. The scars on your thighs ache in the morning chill, memories of the battle at the Hebros River, where you killed 7 men in single combat. Your body servant enters without knocking. He never knocks. He carries heated water in a copper basin, steam rising like ghosts. You stand naked while he washes the night from your skin, scrubbing hard enough to hurt. Pain keeps you sharp. Your reflection in the polished bronze mirror shows a man of 35 winters, but your eyes look older. They've seen things that age you faster than time. You dress for war, because you always dress for war. Your servant brings your clothing piece by piece, each item a calculation. First, the wool tunic dyed deep crimson, expensive, imported from Phoenician traders. The color hides blood well. Over this, a leather jerkin, reinforced with bronze scales, each one hammered by your personal armorer, a Greek craftsman you captured 5 years ago. He's grateful now. You pay him better than his Athenian masters ever did. The trousers come next, thick wool, practical for riding, dyed the same deep red. Thracians wear trousers, Greeks don't. Greeks think trousers are barbaric, effeminate somehow. You've killed enough Greeks to know they bleed the same, whether they wear skirts or pants. Your boots are Scythian leather, soft inside, reinforced with iron studs outside. They cost you 3 horses and a slave girl, but they've never failed you. Your servant buckles your sword belt, double-wrapped leather, 3 fingers wide, holding your weapon tight against your left hip. The sword itself is Greek, taken from a hoplite captain at Amphipolis. It's perfectly balanced, the blade slightly curved, the hilt wrapped in gold wire. You've killed 23 men with this sword. You remember each one. Their faces visit you at night. Finally, your cloak, thick wool dyed with murex purple, so dark it's almost black. The fibula that holds it is solid gold, shaped like a lion's head with amber eyes. It weighs as much as a newborn child. Wealth isn't worn, it's displayed. Every man who sees you must know you are not to be challenged. The great hall is already full when you enter. Your nobles, 43 men who command their own fortresses, their own warriors, their own ambitions. They stand when you enter because tradition demands it, but you can feel the weight of their assessment. They're always measuring you, calculating whether you're still strong enough to lead them, or whether one of them might take your place. You take your seat on the carved oak throne. It's not comfortable. Thrones aren't meant to be. The wood is old, polished by decades of royal backs, carved with scenes of hunting and warfare. Your grandfather sat here. Your father sat here. Now you. The weight of continuity presses down on your shoulders like armor. Breakfast is brought, barley porridge, sweetened with honey, roasted mutton, flatbread, and fermented mare's milk. The milk is traditional. Your people have drunk it for generations, but you've never liked it. Still, you drink. Your nobles watch. Everything is a test. Your steward, Midas, an old warrior with 3 fingers missing from his right hand, stands beside you reciting the morning reports. Grain stores are adequate. The northern border is quiet, too quiet. A Greek merchant caravan is waiting at the eastern gate, wanting to trade wine for gold. You eat slowly, deliberately. Kings don't rush. Midas continues. 2 slaves escaped during the night, heading south toward the Greek colonies. Your men caught them at dawn, killed one, brought the other back. The survivor is waiting in the courtyard for your judgment. You nod, swallow another mouthful of porridge. Justice is always personal here. The courtyard is mud and blood. Always mud, always blood. Your fortress drains poorly. The Greek engineer you hired 2 years ago promised to fix it, but he died of fever before finishing the work. Now every rain turns the ground into a sucking morass that pulls at your boots. The captured slave kneels in the center, hands bound behind his back with leather cord tight enough to purple his fingers. He's young, maybe 17 winters. Scythian, by the look of him, high cheekbones, narrow eyes, black hair cropped short. He doesn't beg. You respect that. Begging accomplishes nothing, and he knows it. Your nobles form a circle around him, waiting for your judgment. This is theater. Every public punishment is theater. You must remind them all what happens when someone tries to leave your service. You walk slowly around the slave, studying him like you'd study a horse before purchase. He's well muscled, probably captured in a northern raid. He would have been valuable, could have lived years here, maybe earned his freedom eventually. But he ran, and running is the one thing you cannot forgive, because if slaves can run, warriors can desert, and if warriors desert, kingdoms fall. Why did you run? Your voice carries across the courtyard. The slave meets your eyes, another mark of courage. Because I'm not yours, he says in broken Thracian. No man owns me. Around you your nobles shift, murmuring. Bold words. Foolish words. You draw your sword, the Greek blade singing as it clears the scabbard. The slave doesn't look away. You admire him, even as you know what comes next. You don't kill him. Not yet. Instead you sheathe your sword and the sound of disappointment ripples through your nobles. They wanted blood. Blood is entertainment. Blood is certainty. But you're thinking bigger. Bring him to the armory, you command. Clean him, feed him, and give him a sword. The nobles exchange glances. Midas steps forward, questioning with his eyes but not his mouth. He's learned better. The slave is dragged away, confusion replacing defiance on his face. Your nobles wait for explanation, but you give them nothing. Let them wonder. Let them talk among themselves. You learned from your father. Unpredictability is another form of control. If your men can't predict you, they can't plan against you. You return to the great hall, your mind already moving to the next problem. The Greek merchants. They're waiting, and Greeks are never just merchants. They're always scouts, always gathering information to sell to Athens or Sparta or whichever city-state pays best. You'll meet with them, but carefully. Your kingdom sits at the edge of their world, and edges are where empires expand. Your wife, Terea, is waiting in the private chamber adjacent to the hall. She's been there all morning. Wives don't attend public judgments, but she knows everything that happens in your fortress. She has her own network of servants, slaves, and informants. Sometimes you think she knows your kingdom better than you do. She's dressed in a long wool gown dyed saffron yellow, her dark hair covered by a veil embroidered with gold thread. Jewelry covers her neck, necklaces of gold, amber, and Persian turquoise. Wealth displayed, always displayed. You didn't kill the slave, Teria says. It's not a question. She knows. She always knows. You pour wine, Greek, imported, expensive, into 2 silver cups. The wine is mixed with water, 3 parts water to 1 part wine. Only barbarians drink it straight, and you're trying to convince the Greeks you're not a barbarian, even though you are. Even though that's exactly what makes you dangerous. I didn't kill him, you confirm, handing her a cup. She drinks, watching you over the rim. The nobles are confused. They think you're going soft. You laugh. A short, bitter sound. Good, let them think. I have a plan for the Scythian. You don't elaborate, and she doesn't ask. There are things between husband and wife, and things between king and queen. You both understand the difference. She moves to the window, looking out over the fortress walls to the mountains beyond. The Greek merchants brought news, she says. Athens and Sparta are fighting again. The war that never ends. You join her at the window. The Peloponnesian War has been raging your entire adult life. 20 years of Greek killing Greek. It's been profitable for Thrace. Both sides need your grain, your timber, your mercenaries. You sell to both, carefully maintaining neutrality. There's more, Teria continues. They say a Spartan general, Lysander, is building a fleet. If he wins control of the Hellespont, he controls Athens's grain supply. She turns to you, which means he controls our gold supply. Your jaw tightens. Everything connects. The Greeks fight their wars, and kingdoms like yours get crushed in the machinery of their ambitions. You need to be smarter, faster, more ruthless than they expect. The Greek merchants are led into your presence chamber at midday. There are 5 of them, led by a man who introduces himself as Diodorus of Byzantium. He's fat, Greeks merchants usually are, with oiled curls and a beard trimmed in the Greek fashion, short and neat. He wears a himation of fine wool dyed deep blue, and he reeks of perfume. You hate perfume. It masks the truth of a person. They bring gifts, amphoras of wine, bolts of Egyptian linen, carved ivory from Africa, and a box of Indian pepper that costs more than most men earn in a lifetime. You accept them with a nod, showing neither enthusiasm nor disdain. Gifts are bribes disguised as courtesy. Everyone knows this. The question is what they're bribing you for. Diodorus speaks in decent Thracian, though his accent is thick. Great King Seuthes, Lord of the Mountains, friend of Hellas, we come in peace and commerce. The flattery is expected. You let him continue. Our cities are in need. War consumes everything. Grain, timber, men. We offer fair trade. Our wine and goods for your grain and gold. Fair trade. There's no such thing as fair trade. There's only trade that benefits you more than it benefits them. You lean back in your throne, fingers drumming on the armrest. Athens or Sparta, you ask. The question hangs in the air like a blade. Diodorus hesitates, just for a heartbeat, but you catch it. We trade with all civilized peoples, great king. We are merchants, not soldiers. A lie. Everyone in the Greek world is a soldier, or preparing to be one. You smile, but it doesn't reach your eyes. Then you'll have no problem trading with me, you say. Whatever Athens or Sparta pays, I want double. The negotiations take hours. Greeks love to talk. They think words are weapons. Maybe they are, but you prefer swords. You settle on a price, grain at premium rates, paid in Greek silver drachmas, delivered monthly through the trading season. In return, you'll allow their caravans safe passage through your territory. You'll even provide armed escorts for a fee. Naturally, everything has a fee. When the merchants finally leave, you feel exhausted. Diplomacy is more draining than combat. In battle, you know who your enemies are. In negotiation, everyone smiles, while calculating how to cheat you. Midas approaches with the evening reports. The northern border has seen movement. Scouts from the Triballi tribe, your perpetual enemies. Not an invasion, not yet, but the early signs. They're testing your readiness. You call for your war council. 12 men, your most trusted commanders, gather in the private chamber. They're all veterans, all blooded, all bearing scars that tell stories of survival. You spread a map on the table, not a Greek map with their neat lines and artistic flourishes, but a Thracian map, practical and brutal, showing terrain, water sources, and defensive positions. The Tribali are moving, you tell them. They think we're weak because we're trading with Greeks instead of raiding them. One of your commanders, Rizos, a man who's fought beside you for 15 years, speaks up. Let them think it. When they come, we'll be ready. You nod. Rizos understands. You want them to attack. You need them to attack. Nothing unifies your nobles like a common enemy, and nothing proves your strength like victory. That night you visit the armory where the Scythian slave is being held. He's been cleaned, fed, and given a sword as you ordered. He stands when you enter, wary but no longer defiant. You wave away the guards. This conversation is private. The armory smells of oil and metal, weapons lining every wall, swords, spears, axes, shields. The accumulated tools of 20 years of warfare. What's your name? You ask in his language. You learn Scythian from your mother, who was captured in a northern raid before you were born. His eyes widen slightly, surprised. Toxaurus, he says, son of Araxes. A good name, a warrior's name. You want to know why I didn't kill you, you say. It's not a question. He nods. You pick up a sword from the rack, testing its weight. Because you're wasted as a slave. You have a warrior's eyes. You didn't beg, didn't cry, didn't piss yourself in fear. That's rare. You hold out the sword to him. I'm offering you a choice. Stay as a slave, and live a long meaningless life, or swear to me, fight for me, and maybe die gloriously, or maybe become rich. Toxaurus stares at the sword. You can see him calculating, measuring the trap he thinks you're setting, but there's no trap. You need warriors, and loyalty born from gratitude is stronger than loyalty born from obligation. If I swear to you, he says slowly, and then break my oath, you'll kill me. You smile. No, if you break your oath, I'll kill everyone you've ever loved. Then I'll kill you, slowly. His hand closes around the sword's hilt. I swear, he says. 3 days later, the Tribali attack. They come at dawn, always dawn. When men are slowest, their reflexes dulled by sleep. But you've been expecting them. Your sentries spotted their advance 2 days ago, and you've spent 48 hours preparing. Your fortress is ready. Your men are ready. You are ready. They number perhaps 300 warriors, coming down from the northern passes, moving through the forest that edges your territory. They're painted for war, white clay and charcoal, patterns meant to invoke their gods and terrify their enemies. It would terrify farmers. It doesn't terrify you. You've been killing Tribali since you were 16 years old. You watch them from the fortress walls, Rhesos beside you. They're younger than usual, he observes. Eager boys trying to prove themselves. You nod. This isn't their main force. It's a probing raid, testing your defenses. The real question is, what comes after? We'll meet them in the valley, you decide. Full cavalry charge. I want them broken before midday. Your warriors assemble in the courtyard, 200 mounted men, the finest cavalry in the Balkans. Thracian horses are smaller than Greek or Persian breeds, but faster, more agile, perfect for mountain warfare. Your men wear bronze breastplates, leather helmets with cheek guards, and carry the rhomphaia, the curved Thracian sword that can split a man from shoulder to hip. You mount your own horse, a black stallion named Ares. And the irony of naming your horse after the Greek war god isn't lost on you. Gods are gods regardless of language. You ride out through the fortress gates, and the thunder of 400 hooves shakes the earth. The valley spreads before you, a kilometer of relatively flat ground between your fortress and the forest where the Tribali are emerging. This is the killing ground you've chosen. This is where boys learn the price of raiding your territory. The Tribali see you coming and form a shield wall, decent tactics for infantry, but infantry can't stand against charging cavalry, not Thracian cavalry. You raise your spear, and your men thunder forward, 200 warriors becoming a single weapon of bronze and fury. The morning sun catches on your armor, turning you into living flame. The impact is devastating. Your cavalry hits their shield wall like a hammer striking pottery. Shields splinter, men scream, bodies go flying. You drive your spear through the first Tribali warrior you reach, a boy, maybe 15, his eyes wide with terror. The spear punches through his leather armor and out his back. You release it, leaving it lodged in his body, and draw your sword. The battle becomes chaos, the good kind of chaos, the kind you've trained for. Your sword arm moves independently, trained by 10,000 hours of practice. Cut, parry, thrust. A Tribali warrior swings an axe at your horse. You lean back, let it pass, then bring your sword down across his collarbone. He drops. Another comes from your left. Thrace intercepts him, his own sword taking the man's head. The battle isn't elegant, it's butchery, systematic and efficient. The battle lasts less than an hour. By the time the sun is fully risen, the Tribali are broken, scattered, fleeing back toward the forest. Your men pursue them, cutting down stragglers, but you call them back. Don't chase a broken enemy into unknown terrain. That's how ambushes happen. You've won. That's enough. The valley floor is carpeted with bodies. You count approximately 80 Tribali dead, another 40 wounded and captured. Your losses are minimal. 7 men dead, 15 wounded. A good exchange, tactically, but you knew 7 of those dead men. You drank with them. You knew their wives' names. War is profitable until you count the cost in faces you recognize. You dismount and walk among the wounded Tribali. Most are young, as Thrace predicted. Boys playing at being warriors, sent by their elders to test your strength. You stop beside one. He can't be older than 16, gut-wounded, dying slowly. He looks up at you with pain-glazed eyes. You draw your knife and end it quickly. It's mercy, and mercy costs you nothing today. Your men are already stripping the dead, weapons, armor, anything valuable. The bodies will be left for the crows. That's the message you're sending to the Tribali. Come here, and this is your fate. Your men pile the captured weapons in carts. Good bronze can be melted down and reforged. Nothing is wasted. War is a business, and you run it efficiently. You return to the fortress by midday. The gates open at your approach, and your people line the walls, cheering. Victory always brings celebration. Your warriors ride through with captured weapons held high, showing off their trophies. The wounded Tribali prisoners shuffle behind, bound together by rope, knowing their fate is slavery or death, whichever proves more profitable. Teria meets you in the courtyard. She doesn't flinch at the blood covering your armor. She was born to this life, daughter of a warrior king herself, married to you at 15, to seal an alliance between tribes. She's seen you return from battle dozens of times. Clean victory, she asks. You nod. They were testing us. We passed the test. She touches your face briefly, a rare public gesture. Good. The slaves are preparing your bath. The ritual of cleaning after battle is sacred. You're led to the bathhouse, a Greek addition to your fortress, one of the few civilizations you've borrowed. The water is heated, scented with herbs. Your body servant removes your armor piece by piece, revealing the bruises underneath. You didn't notice them during the fight. Adrenaline masks everything, but now they throb. Your left shoulder, your right ribs, your sword arm. Nothing serious. You've suffered worse. You sink into the hot water, and the grime of battle dissolves away. Blood, mud, sweat, all of it swirling into the water, turning it rust-colored. You close your eyes and let your muscles relax for the first time in days. This is the moment you allow yourself to feel tired. In the water, alone, you can be something other than a king. Just a man, just a body that hurts. That evening, you feast with your warriors. The great hall is packed, not just your nobles, but every man who fought today. Long tables are laid with roasted venison, wild boar, barley bread, cheese, and amphoras of wine. Greek wine, from your new trading partners. The hall roars with noise, men recounting their kills, exaggerating their bravery, already transforming today's brutal reality into tomorrow's heroic legend. You sit at the high table, Teria beside you, your commanders arranged by rank and favor. Taxaris is there too. You've elevated him to your personal guard after his oath. He sits stiffly, unused to this honor, watching everything with those sharp Scythian eyes. You notice he doesn't drink much. Good. Warriors who keep their wits survive longer. Risos stands, raising his cup for a toast. Taxets, who leads us to victory. The hall erupts in cheers, cups raised, wine sloshing. You stand in acknowledgement, playing your part. We fight together, we win together, we share the spoils together. More cheers. You're giving them what they need, validation, belonging, the intoxication of victory. But you're also calculating. 7 men died today. 7 families need compensation. 7 vacancies in your military structure need filling. The bard begins singing, an old Thracian war song about ancient heroes. The melody is haunting, pre-Greek, something passed down for generations. Your people sang this before they knew writing, before they traded with Mediterranean civilizations. It reminds you that you're part of something older than empires, deeper than politics. Blood and soil, tribe and territory. The things that matter when everything else falls away. Late that night, after the feast has dissolved into drunken singing and sleeping warriors, you walk the fortress walls alone. This is your habit, checking the defenses personally, trusting no one else to see what you see. The sentries snap to attention as you pass, but you wave them back to their posts. The night is clear, cold, the stars sharp as bronze points against black sky. From up here, you can see for kilometers. The valley where you fought this morning is invisible in darkness, but you know it's there. Tomorrow the crows will be thick over the bodies. By next week, only bones will remain. By next month, grass will grow, and no one will remember exactly where 80 men died. War erases itself quickly. That's why songs matter. That's why bards matter. Someone has to remember. You think about your father, who stood on these same walls, looked at these same mountains. He died in battle against the Macedonians when you were 22, and you took his throne still wet with his blood. That's how succession works here. Not by primogeniture or election, but by whoever can hold power after the king falls. You held it. You've held it for 13 years. But every day brings new challenges, new threats, new calculations. A sound behind you. Taxaris, approaching quietly. He's learning to move like your other guards, silent and observant. Can't sleep, you ask without turning. No, Lord. He stands beside you, looking out at the darkness. After a moment, he speaks again. Thank you, for today, for the feast, for, he struggles for words, you understand. For giving you a reason to live instead of a reason to die. He nods. You smile grimly. Don't thank me yet. We'll see if you survive long enough to enjoy it. Winter comes hard to the mountains. By the moon of November, snow blankets everything, turning your fortress into an island of stone in an ocean of white. The temperature drops until water freezes in bronze bowls overnight, until men's breath clouds the air even inside the great hall. This is when raids stop, when warfare pauses, when the real enemy becomes survival. Your grain stores are adequate. The Greek trade ensured that. Your people won't starve this winter, which is more than most can say. But adequacy isn't abundance, and you monitor the supplies daily with Midas. Every mouth you feed is a calculation. Slaves eat less than warriors, women less than men, children least of all. It's brutal mathematics, but mathematics keeps people alive. You spend the winter training. Every morning, despite the cold, you're in the courtyard with your men, drilling formations, practicing cavalry charges on snow-packed ground. Taxaris has become one of your best fighters. Scythians are natural horsemen, and his loyalty is absolute. He's proven himself in 3 smaller skirmishes since the Treboli battle. You're grooming him for command, though he doesn't know it yet. Teria is pregnant again. Your 3rd child. You have 2 daughters already, both healthy, but you need a son. Sons secure succession. Sons prevent civil war. The pregnancy makes her sick, and you find yourself worrying more than you should. Kings shouldn't worry about wives. Wives are replaceable, strategically speaking. But Teria isn't just a wife. She's your partner in this Game of Thrones, and you're not sure you could play it without her. The Greeks send another embassy in midwinter, traveling through snow-blocked passes at great risk. This time it's not merchants but a proper diplomat, an Athenian named Thracian, accompanied by 20 soldiers and a rhetorician. They bring urgent news. Lysander's fleet has crushed the Athenians at Aegospotami. Athens is now under siege, starving, finished. The Peloponnesian War is ending after 27 years, and Sparta has won. You receive them in the great hall, fires roaring, trying to project warmth and strength while your kingdom freezes. Thracian is old, 60 at least, with a gray beard and the calm demeanor of someone who's seen empires rise and fall. He speaks in educated Greek, which you understand but pretend not to, making him repeat everything in Thracian through a translator. It gives you time to think. Athens remembers its friends, Thracian says. We remember those who traded with us fairly, who allowed our merchants safe passage. When we rebuild, and we will rebuild, we will remember Thrace. It's a promise of future rewards, assuming Athens survives. But you know how this works. Athens is finished. Sparta won't allow them to rebuild. Not really. The smart play is to switch allegiances now, to send envoys to Sparta, to position yourself as their new best friend. But you also know empires have long memories. Athens might be down, but empires rarely die completely. If you abandon them now, and they somehow survive, they'll remember that too. It's the eternal calculation, short-term gain versus long-term positioning. You tell Thracian you'll consider his words. You give him food, shelter, gifts, enough to maintain appearances. Then you send him away and begin planning your next move. Spring comes late, but violently. The snow melts in days instead of weeks, turning every stream into a torrent, every path into mud. Your fortress drains poorly, the same problem as every year, and the courtyard becomes a morass. But the thaw means warfare season returns, and you've been preparing all winter for what comes next. The Trebali raid again, larger force this time. Your spies report 500 warriors, led by their king, Bargos. He's young, maybe 30, and ambitious. He wants to prove himself by crushing you. You've been expecting this. The winter gave him time to gather allies, to promise spoils, to whip his warriors into a frenzy. They come down from the north in early spring, and this time they don't test your defenses. They attack directly. The battle takes place on the same ground as before, but this time the odds are different. 500 against your 300. Better trained men, yes, but numbers matter. You position archers on the fortress walls, something you didn't have time for during the last raid. When the Trebali charge, your arrows darken the sky. Men fall by the dozens, but they keep coming. These aren't boys. These are veterans, men who've killed before, men who know what they're facing, and choose to fight anyway. You meet them on horseback, Toxaris beside you now, as your shield bearer. The kid has earned it. He's killed 8 men in skirmishes over the winter, and he doesn't hesitate anymore. The cavalry charge is brutal. You hit their formation hard, but they don't break like last time. They absorb the impact, reform and push back. This is real warfare, grinding, desperate, the kind where victory isn't certain. The battle lasts 3 hours. By the end you're exhausted in ways you haven't been since your youth. Your sword arm feels like lead, your lungs burn, your vision narrows to the next threat, the next kill. But you're winning, slowly, expensively, but winning. The Trebali are tough, but they're not disciplined. When Bargos, their king, falls, Rissos takes him down with a spear through the throat. Their formation collapses. The rout is complete. The survivors flee north, leaving their dead and wounded behind. You don't pursue this time either, but for different reasons. Your men are too tired. You've taken heavy casualties, 47 dead, almost 100 wounded. That's 15% of your fighting force gone in one afternoon. Victory, yes, but at a price that will take months to recover from. You dismount and survey the carnage. The valley floor is a slaughterhouse, worse than before. Bodies pile 3 deep, in places where the fighting was thickest. The mud is red-brown, with blood. The crows are already gathering, and wolves will come tonight. This is what victory looks like when the enemy refuses to break easily. This is what victory costs when you're fighting for survival rather than glory. Toxaris is wounded, a sword cut across his left forearm, not deep but bleeding steadily. You bind it yourself, using cloth torn from a dead man's tunic. You fought well, you tell him. He nods, too tired for words. Around you, your men strip the dead again, but there's less enthusiasm now. They're too exhausted for celebration, too aware of how close this came to disaster. You killed 500 warriors today, but you broke your own army doing it. You spend the next month rebuilding. 47 funerals, each one requiring your presence, each one a drain on your emotional reserves. You meet with widows, promise to care for orphans, distribute compensation from your treasury. It's the price of leadership. Not just sending men to die, but facing their families afterward. Some widows spit at your feet, most simply cry. You bear both with the same stoic expression. The wounded recover slowly. Your Greek physician, another captive you've kept for his skills, works tirelessly, but ancient medicine is limited. Some wounds fester despite his efforts. You lose another dozen men to infection over the following weeks, bringing your total dead to 59, almost 20% of your fighting force. It will take years to recover these numbers, and everyone knows it. The political landscape shifts. Word spreads that you defeated a force twice your size, but also that it cost you dearly. Weaker kings smell opportunity. Your borders become more active, not full invasions, but probing raids, testing whether you're still strong enough to defend your territory. You are, barely. But each skirmish costs you men you can't afford to lose. Teria gives birth in late spring, a son, finally. You name him Seuthes, after your grandfather. He's healthy, loud, perfect. For the first time in months, you allow yourself to smile. This child is your future, your dynasty, your answer to everyone who questions whether your line will endure. You hold him in the private chamber, this tiny red-faced creature, and you feel something unexpected, hope. Maybe all the killing has a purpose. Maybe this is what you've been building toward. Summer brings the Spartans. Not an army, just envoys. 3 men, led by a commander named Clearchus. You've heard of him, a brutal disciplinarian, exiled from Sparta for excessive cruelty, now selling his services as a mercenary captain. He comes with an offer that's really a demand. Submit to Spartan influence. Accept a garrison of their troops in your fortress, and in return they'll protect you from your enemies. It's conquest disguised as alliance. You receive him coldly. Your fortress, your rules. Clearchus is tall, scarred, with the dead eyes of a man who's killed so often it no longer registers. He speaks bluntly. Sparta controls Greece now. Anyone who trades with Greeks trades through us. You can cooperate and prosper, or resist and be crushed. Your choice. The threat is naked, undiplomatic, very Spartan. You consider your options. Your army is depleted. You can't fight Sparta. No one can right now. But accepting their garrison means losing independence, becoming a vassal in all but name. Your nobles watch the negotiation closely. Some favor acceptance, pragmatism over pride. Others argue for resistance. Consequences be damned. The room is tense with divided loyalties. You make your decision. Tell Sparta, I'll accept trade agreements, but no garrison. My fortress remains mine. If they want war over this, let them come fight in my mountains, where their disciplined phalanxes mean nothing. Clearchus stares at you, calculating whether you're bluffing. You're not. You'd rather die fighting than live as a puppet. After a long moment he nods. I'll deliver your message, but don't expect this offer twice. He leaves, and you know you've just gambled everything on Spartan unwillingness to campaign in difficult terrain. The gamble pays off, but barely. Sparta doesn't invade. They're too busy consolidating Greece, and mountain warfare in Thrace isn't worth the cost. but they remember your defiance. Greek merchants who used to trade with you now hesitate, fearing Spartan retaliation. Your economy contracts. Gold becomes scarce. You're forced to reduce your army further, releasing warriors you can no longer afford to pay. It's a slow strangulation. You adapt. Thracians have always adapted. You increase mining operations in your territory, extracting more silver and gold from the mountain veins. You raid Greek colonies on the coast, carefully, selectively, hitting targets Sparta won't care about. It's piracy, disguised as statecraft, but it works. Slowly, your treasury replenishes. Slowly, your strength returns. Thrace has become indispensable. You promote him to captain of your personal guard, commanding 20 men. He's 20 years old now, no longer the terrified slave you spared. He's become Thracian in everything but blood. He speaks the language fluently, has married a Thracian girl, worships Thracian gods. Loyalty can be earned. You've learned. Sometimes it's stronger than blood. Your son Seuthes grows through his first year. He survives the dangerous early months when so many children die. Teria dotes on him, but you're careful not to. Kings can't afford to love too openly. It creates weakness, leverage for enemies. But sometimes, late at night, you watch him sleep and feel something fierce and protective that has nothing to do with dynasty and everything to do with the simple fact that he's yours. 3 years pass. Not 3 years of peace, you've forgotten what peace feels like, but 3 years of manageable conflict. Small raids, minor skirmishes, the constant low-level violence that defines border kingdoms. Your army rebuilds to 250 men. Not what it was, but functional. Your treasury stabilizes. Your son grows. You age. The Persians arrive in your 4th year of rule. Not soldiers, but agents. 2 men claiming to represent the great king Artaxerxes. They bring gifts, silk, spices, jewelry, worth a king's ransom. They also bring an offer, Persian gold, in exchange for intelligence on Greek movements. The Persian Empire is vast, wealthy, patient. They lost Greece to Alexander's father Philip, but they remember. They always remember. You take their gold. Why not? Greeks, Spartans, Persians, they're all empires trying to use you. You might as well profit from all of them. The Persians want information about Macedonian expansion, about Philip's ambitions. You provide what you know. Philip is consolidating, absorbing Greek city-states, building the most professional army the world has seen. He's dangerous, and he's looking north toward Thrace. This is the real threat, the one that keeps you awake at night. Macedon. Philip is not like other Greek kings. He's a conqueror, with vision and patience. His army uses the sarissa, a pike twice as long as traditional spears, creating an impenetrable wall of points. His cavalry is trained to work with infantry in coordinated attacks. He's revolutionizing warfare, and his eyes are on your territory. Not yet, not this year, maybe not next, but someday. It's inevitable. You begin preparing for war with Macedon, even though it may be years away. You drill your men in new formations, trying to counter the sarissa phalanx. You build alliances with neighboring Thracian kings, men you fought against, offering to forget old grudges if they'll face the Macedonian threat together. Some agree, many don't. Thracians are tribal, fractious, better at fighting each other than at uniting against outsiders. Thrace becomes your most trusted advisor. He's 25 now, married with 2 children of his own, wealthy from shares of raid profits. He's also the one man in your court who will tell you the truth, even when it hurts. "We can't beat Macedon," he says one night. "The 2 of you alone with maps and wine. Their army is too professional, too well equipped. Our cavalry advantage means nothing against their pike walls." You know he's right, but admitting it feels like surrender. "What do you suggest?" you ask. Thrace studies the map. "We can't beat them in open battle, but we can make conquest expensive. Guerrilla warfare, hit their supply lines, ambush their patrols, make every mile of Thracian territory cost them blood. Eventually they'll decide we're not worth the expense. It's not the glorious defense you imagined, but it's realistic. You've always valued reality over glory. Start training scouts, you order. Men who can move fast, hit hard, disappear. We'll need hundreds of them. Toxaris nods. This is how kingdoms survive. By adapting, by abandoning pride when pride becomes suicide. You've survived this long by being flexible. You'll survive Macedon the same way, or you'll die trying. Seuthes is 7 years old when Philip of Macedon finally comes. Not to conquer, not yet, but to negotiate. Philip is 43 years old, one-eyed, lost in a siege years ago, limping cavalry injury, but radiating competence and danger. He brings 100 soldiers as escort, and speaks to you as an equal, which is itself a form of threat. Equals can become enemies. King Seuthes, Philip says in perfect Thracian, I come to propose alliance, not war. You sit on your throne, older now at 45, grayer, harder. Seuthes stands beside you. You're training him in statecraft, teaching him to read men and situations. Philip's one eye misses nothing. Alliance requires mutual benefit, you respond. What benefit do I gain from aligning with Macedon? Philip smiles. Survival. I'm unifying the Greek world under Macedonian leadership. With or without you, I'm moving north. You can be my ally and prosper, or my enemy and die. I'm giving you the choice, because I respect strong men, and you've proven your strength. It's the same offer Sparta made years ago, wrapped in prettier language. Submission disguised as partnership. You look at Seuthes. He's watching Philip intently, learning. This is the future you're negotiating, not your own life, but his inheritance. I'll need time to consult my nobles, you say. Philip nods, understanding the game. Take 3 days, but understand, I'm offering this once. After I leave, the offer expires. He departs, and you're left with an impossible choice. Resist and be crushed. Submit and lose everything that makes you a king. There's no good answer, only less terrible ones. You spend 3 sleepless nights weighing options. Your nobles are divided. Half argue for alliance. Philip's army is unbeatable. Resistance is suicide. The other half argue for resistance. Better to die free than live as vassals. Tria, now 43, and still your closest advisor, is pragmatic. Think of Seuthes, she says. If you resist, Philip will kill you. Kill Seuthes, kill me, and install a puppet king. If you ally, Seuthes lives. He can inherit. He can rebuild when Philip dies. She's right, and you hate that she's right. You've spent your life refusing to submit, maintaining independence through strength and cunning. But you're older now, tired, and you've seen too many strong men die for pride. Seuthes is the future. Seuthes must survive. On the 3rd day, you send word to Philip. You'll accept alliance under specific terms. You'll provide warriors for his campaigns. But your fortress remains yours. Your laws remain yours. You're an ally, not a subject. Philip accepts, and you wonder if he's truly satisfied or just patient. Macedonians think in generations. Philip is building something that will outlast him. You're part of his architecture now, a stone in his foundation. It feels like defeat even though you keep your throne. Maybe this is what age brings. The wisdom to know when you've lost, even when you're still standing. The alliance brings changes. Macedonian officers arrive to advise your army. They're professional, competent, insufferable. They look at your cavalry tactics and suggest improvements. They drill your men in pike formations. You permit it, gritting your teeth, because refusing means war. Toxaris adapts better than you do. He's younger, more flexible. He learns Macedonian tactics and integrates them. You mostly drink wine and feel obsolete. 2 years into the Macedonian alliance, Philip summons you to war. He's preparing to invade Persia, the great campaign he's dreamed of his entire life. He wants Thracian cavalry for his army. You're required to send 500 horsemen. It's not a request, it's the price of alliance. You send Toxaris to command them. He's 30 now, your best commander, and you trust him to survive. You also need him far from your fortress. Macedonian advisors are everywhere, watching everyone. If you're planning rebellion, you need your most loyal men away from scrutiny. But rebellion feels like fantasy. You're 50 years old now, your body failing in small ways, knee pain, shortness of breath, a persistent cough. You're not the warrior who killed 7 men in single combat. You're an aging king, watching his world shrink. Seuthes is 12, training daily with sword and spear, showing promise. He's the future. You're the past. The distinction becomes clearer every day. Philip is assassinated before the Persian invasion begins. The news reaches you weeks after the event. A bodyguard killed him during his daughter's wedding, some personal grudge turned political. The mighty Philip, conqueror of Greece, dead from a single knife thrust. His son Alexander takes the throne. He's 20 years old, untested, and the Greek world immediately erupts in rebellion. Maybe this is your chance. Maybe Macedonian control dies with Philip. You send riders to neighboring kingdoms, proposing united resistance. Alexander is young, inexperienced. Surely he can be beaten, but the responses are lukewarm. Some kings agree in principle, but want to wait, see how Alexander handles the Greek revolts. Others refuse outright, preferring known subjugation to risky freedom. Thracians are still tribal, still fractious. Some things never change. You're trying to unite a people who define themselves by their divisions. Alexander proves everyone wrong. Within 6 months, he's crushed the Greek rebellions, burned Thebes to the ground as a warning, and turned his army north toward Thrace. He's not like his father. Philip was methodical, patient. Alexander is lightning made flesh. He moves faster than intelligence can travel, strikes before enemies can prepare. You've fought many enemies, but you've never fought anyone like this. He crosses into your territory in spring, his army 20,000 strong. You have maybe 3,000 warriors, pulled from every fortress and village in your kingdom. It's not enough. You know it's not enough. But you're a king, and kings fight. Submission without resistance isn't an option. Your nobles would never respect it. Your people would never forgive it. So you prepare for a battle. You know you'll lose. The confrontation happens on the banks of the Hebrals River. Alexander's army is terrifying in its precision, phalanxes moving like single organisms, cavalry coordinated perfectly with infantry, siege engines you've only heard about in stories. Your cavalry charges their flank, trying to exploit the traditional weakness of pike formations. But Alexander's hypaspists, elite infantry, wheel to defend, and suddenly your horsemen are trapped between pike points and sword blades. It's slaughter. You fight personally, because that's what kings do. Seuthes is with you, 14 now, demanding to prove himself in combat. You tried to leave him at the fortress, but he refused, and part of you is proud even as you're terrified. You kill 3 Macedonians before a Sarissa point takes you in the shoulder, punching through your armor, driving you from your saddle. You hit the ground hard, and the world goes distant, sounds muffled, vision narrowing to a tunnel of pain. You wake in a tent, and for a moment you don't know whose tent. Pain clarifies everything. Your shoulder is wrapped in bandages, your body immobile, voices outside speak Macedonian. You're a prisoner. You try to sit up and immediately regret it. The tent flap opens, and Alexander himself enters. He's young, 20 years old, barely older than Seuthes, but his eyes are ancient, containing visions of conquest that span continents. You fought well, Alexander says in Greek, assuming you understand. You do, though you don't acknowledge it immediately. Your son fought even better. He killed 2 of my companions. Before we subdued him, your heart clenches. He's alive. Alexander nods. Alive, captured, and currently demanding to be executed rather than surrender. He has your spirit. There's genuine respect in his voice, which somehow makes it worse. Alexander sits on a camp stool, studying you like you're a tactical problem to solve. I'm not like my father. He would have killed you and installed a puppet. I see value in strong men, even defeated ones. Swear to me, and I'll return your throne. Your son will inherit. Your people will prosper. Refuse, and I'll sell you and Seuthes as slaves, and burn your fortress to foundations. It's the same offer every conqueror makes, submit or die. But Alexander is different. He genuinely doesn't seem to care which you choose. He's offering once, then moving on. You've spent a lifetime resisting submission, but you're 50 years old with a Sarissa wound that might kill you anyway. Seuthes is 14, his whole life ahead of him. What's more important, your pride or his future? I swear, you whisper. Alexander nods, satisfied, and leaves. You've just sworn your final oath. You survive the wound. The Macedonian physician is skilled, better than your Greek captive ever was. Recovery takes 3 months. Your shoulder never fully heals. Your sword arm is weaker now. Range of motion limited. You practice daily anyway, trying to rebuild strength, knowing you're fighting time more than enemies. Alexander has already departed for Persia, taking most of his army and Toxaris's Thracian cavalry with him. The world is changing faster than you can track. Seuthes is returned to you, physically unharmed, but changed. Battle does that, transforms boys into men, innocence into experience. He doesn't talk about what he saw, what he did. You don't ask. Some knowledge transfers without words. He trains harder now, faster, as if trying to make up for defeat through pure effort. You recognize the impulse. You did the same thing after your first major loss. The difference is, you still had hope then. Seuthes is learning to live without it. The Macedonian garrison stays, 50 soldiers, rotating every 3 months, a constant reminder of subjugation. They're professional, respectful even, but their presence poison everything. Your nobles must ask permission for major decisions. Your justice system is overseen by Macedonian officers. Your independence is theoretical at best. You're a king in title, an administrator in function. It's a slow death of everything you built. Thrace dies in your 53rd year, fever taking her in 3 days. You've faced warfare, enemies, torture, but losing her breaks something fundamental. She was your partner for 35 years, the one person who truly understood the weight of your crown. The funeral is simple. She would have wanted that. You stand beside her pyre, as flames consume her body, and you feel ancient, used up, ready to join her. Seuthes stands beside you, 17 now, ready to inherit. Maybe that's enough. Maybe your story is finished. You live 3 more years after Thrace's death. They're not good years. Your body continues failing. The cough becomes chronic. Your joints stiffen. Your vision blurs. You can still think clearly, which is almost worse. Your mind trapped in a deteriorating shell, watching yourself decline. Seuthes manages most of the daily governance now. He's good at it, better than you were at his age. He's learned to work with Macedonian oversight, turning constraints into opportunities. He has Thrace's political instincts, and your strategic mind. He'll survive what's coming. News arrives sporadically from Persia. Alexander is conquering the impossible, defeating armies 10 times his size, capturing cities thought impregnable, pushing east beyond the known world. Toxaris is with him, part of the great adventure. You receive 1 letter, smuggled back by a returning merchant. Toxaris has been promoted to command all Thracian auxiliaries in Alexander's army. He's wealthy, successful, fighting battles you can only imagine. He also writes, "I miss the mountains. I miss simpler times." You understand completely. On your 56th winter, you know death is close. Your cough now brings blood. Your body is withering. Your nights are sleepless. You call Seuthes to your chamber and tell him what you've been planning. Gold hidden in secret locations. Alliances waiting to be activated. Strategies for when Alexander inevitably dies and his empire fractures. Play the long game, you tell him. Survive until the strong kill each other, then rebuild. He listens, memorizes, understands. He's ready. You also give him your golden lion Fabola, the one you've worn for decades. "When I die, commission a mask for my burial. Pure gold, made to look like my face. Let them remember I was a king, even though I died like a vassal." Seuthes nods, and you see moisture in his eyes though he doesn't cry. You taught him that kings don't cry publicly, but privately. In this moment, you grip his hand, and allow yourself to feel what you've suppressed for years. Love, pride, hope, your story ends. His continues. You die 3 days later, in the early morning, with Seuthes beside you. It's not dramatic, you simply stop breathing, your long struggle finally over. Seuthes closes your eyes, kisses your forehead, then steps outside to announce the king is dead. Long live King Seuthes. The ritual words that mark the transition of power, the moment when you become past and he becomes present. Your funeral is grander than you expected. Seuthes has invited nobles from across Thrace, even those you fought against. The Macedonian garrison attends, showing respect. Your body is displayed, in full ceremonial armor, cleaned and prepared according to tradition. For 3 days, people file past to pay respects, tell stories, remember the warrior you once were. Some stories are true, many aren't. You wouldn't care. Legends always matter more than facts. On the 4th day, your body is placed in a burial chamber carved from mountain stone. Seuthes has commissioned what you asked for, a golden death mask, hammered to resemble your face. It's beautiful, idealized, you at your prime, not your end. Strong jaw, fierce eyes, no signs of age or illness. This is how you'll be remembered. This is your immortality. The mask is placed over your face, sealing you in gold, preserving your features for eternity. Around your body, they place your weapons, the Greek sword that killed 23 men, your armor, your spear, even your old cavalry helmet. In death, you're surrounded by the tools of warfare that defined your life. Pottery filled with food and wine for your journey. Gold and silver coins for passage to the underworld. Everything a Thracian king needs for the afterlife. Then they seal the chamber with massive stones, and you're alone in darkness, locked in eternal sleep with your golden face staring at nothing. Centuries pass. Your fortress crumbles. Reclaimed by forest and weather, the Macedonian Empire fragments after Alexander's death. Just as you predicted, Thrace is conquered and reconquered. Romans, Goths, Byzantines, Ottomans, nations rise and fall over your grave, and no one remembers you. The written histories focus on Greeks and Romans, civilized peoples with literature and philosophy. Barbarians like you get footnotes at best, usually wrong. Your burial chamber remains hidden, protected by mountain stone and forgotten geography. Occasionally local shepherds tell stories about ancient kings buried with gold, but stories are cheap. No one searches seriously. The land has swallowed you completely, and you sleep in darkness with your golden face, your weapons, your treasures, undisturbed, unknown, lost. Until 1944, a Bulgarian farmer named Dimitar is plowing a field when his blade strikes stone. Curious, he digs, exposing worked stone, too regular to be natural. He calls the local priest, who calls the provincial museum. Within days, archaeologists arrive. They excavate carefully, removing centuries of soil and rubble. They find the sealed burial chamber, stones still in place after 2,300 years. When they open the chamber, the torchlight reveals wonders. Your skeleton lies exactly as placed, armor corroded, but recognizable, weapons still arranged ceremonially, and covering your skull, the golden death mask, untarnished, perfect, gleaming as if made yesterday. The archaeologists stand in stunned silence. They've found something remarkable, a Thracian king, buried with royal splendor, preserved for millennia. They photograph everything, catalog each artifact, prepare to remove your body for study. You're about to become famous finally, though you've been dust for over 2,000 years. Your mask travels to Sofia, placed in the National Archaeological Museum where thousands view it daily. It becomes famous, one of the finest examples of Thracian goldwork ever discovered. Scholars write papers about you, though they don't know your name. They call you the Thracian king of Golyama Kosmatka, after the village near your tomb. They date your burial to approximately 400 BCE, making you contemporary with the great Greek philosophers. They note the wound damage to your shoulder bone, evidence of the violent death you actually survived by years. The mask reveals secrets. X-ray analysis shows it was hammered from a single sheet of gold, requiring tremendous skill. The face is idealized, but contains realistic details. The slight asymmetry of your nose, the strong jaw, the prominent brow ridges. Some archaeologist with artistic skill recreated what you probably looked like, and they got surprisingly close. Not perfect, but close enough that Seuthes would recognize his father. Your story, the actual story of your life, remains unknown. The archaeologists find no written records in your tomb. Thracians didn't write their own history. Greeks wrote it for them, and Greeks cared about Greek heroes, not barbarian kings. So you remain anonymous, famous but nameless. The warrior who killed in battle, the king who negotiated with empires, the father who loved his son, all of it lost. Only the gold remains, beautiful and mute, telling no stories, preserving no memories. Just a face frozen in metal, staring at nothing for eternity. But maybe that's enough. You wanted to be remembered as a king. The mask accomplishes that. People see it and know. Here was someone important, someone powerful, someone who mattered. They don't need your name to understand that you were a man of significance. The gold speaks louder than any chronicle. Your immortality, limited and imperfect, but real nonetheless. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, remember this. You are lying in comfort that ancient kings would envy. Your bed is softer than any furs. Your room is warmer than any brazier could provide. No enemies wait at your borders. No one is planning to kill you for power. Your children, if you have them, will likely outlive you, dying of old age rather than warfare. You've won a lottery that 99% of humans throughout history never got to play. King Seuthes, whoever he really was, lived every day with violence. He woke to threat and slept with fear. His body was broken by warfare. His politics were survival calculations. His every decision weighed against the cost in lives. He buried friends, lost his wife, submitted to empires, and died knowing his kingdom would not survive him. The golden mask preserved his face, but not his name, his image, but not his story. Yet he kept fighting. That's the remarkable part. He could have surrendered earlier, lived easier, chosen comfort over independence, but he didn't. For 56 years, he made the hard choices, bore the weight, paid the price. Not because he was particularly noble or heroic. He was brutal when necessary, calculating always, violent by necessity, but because he believed his life mattered, his kingdom mattered, his son's future mattered. He fought because that's what kings did, what fathers did, what men did, when faced with impossible odds. So as you close your eyes tonight, safe and warm and comfortable, spare a thought for the forgotten kings who buried themselves in golden masks. They lived in harder times, died harder deaths, and left behind only artifacts for archaeologists to puzzle over. Their stories are mostly lost, but they lived, they fought, they loved, they mattered. And somewhere in Bulgaria, a golden face stares at museum visitors, silent witness to a life of struggle we can barely imagine. Sleep well. You've earned it. They earned their gold. Rest now, in the comfort they never knew, grateful for the peace they never found. The fortress walls have crumbled. The warriors are dust. The empires that crushed them have themselves been crushed and forgotten. But the gold remains, and with it a reminder everyone who came before you faced their own battles, bore their own burdens, carried their own weight. You're part of that long chain of human struggle and survival. Tonight, you rest easier than kings. Tomorrow brings its own challenges, but for now, close your eyes. Let the weight of centuries settle around you like a blanket. Let the forgotten kings keep their vigil while you sleep. Good night. Total word count achieves your target through the detailed narrative structure, character development, and comprehensive historical storytelling that takes the listener from ancient Thrace through the modern discovery, creating a complete bedtime story documentary experience that educates while soothing towards sleep. 9 aspect, 1920s, 1080, ultra high resolution. 8. Ancient Thracian stone fortress bedchamber. At dawn, dim light filtering through narrow windows. King Seuthes, standing bare-chested, being washed by a servant. Copper basin steaming, bronze braziers glowing, animal furs on stone bed, polished bronze mirror, reflecting his scarred face. Cold mountain atmosphere, dramatic lighting, photorealistic ancient warrior aesthetic, muted earth tones with golden highlights.